Welcome to the biggest video on my channel. Today I will be revealing the perfect program for calisthenics. It's the same program which got me from struggling to do a tuck planche to a full planche in 9 weeks, from struggling to do one handstand push-up to doing over 10 in a row, and not long ago I also got the handstand clap push-up. And of course many other achievements, like adding 80% of my body weight to my dips while learning the muscle up and being able to do 10 repetitions in a row. All that while adding pounds of lean muscle mass in few weeks. Now I promise you that if you watch this full video and apply all the methods and strategies we talk about, I 100% can guarantee that you will get the same or similar results, and without a doubt you will go from a beginner to an advanced calisthenics athlete in a couple of weeks. Why am I so sure? Well, because I also applied these strategies on my clients and the results were shocking. Almost 90% of them unlocked an advanced calisthenics skill. They built insane levels of strength and transformed their physiques in very little time. Now I will make sure to provide you all the tools and the frameworks for absolutely free. I know that not all of you may afford the gym membership or coaching or even just buying a program. And trust me, I've been there once. I really don't want you to go through the same struggle. So I highly recommend you pay full attention for the full entire video. And if you have to take notes, then please do so, because this can literally change your life. With that being said, sit back and enjoy the rest of the video. Let's get it. Most beginners who start calisthenics quit within the first 30 days. The rest, however, decide not to quit and they keep going. They can make significant progress at first because they experience the newbie gains. You've probably heard that term before. It's a short phase where beginners make progress fast due to the body's quick adaptation to new physical stress. But soon after that phase, they hit a plateau and they get stuck in that next phase, which I call beginner hell. It's a phase where there's very little to no progress. Adding one rep to the exercise becomes a struggle. Training feels forced because they're always feeling fatigued and exhausted. They start to lose that motivation they had when they started. They get consumed by self-doubt, start comparing themselves to the elite athletes, and realize how far they are from their goals. But eventually, they might decide to build the courage and give it one more shot, only to feel like they've made a little progress, but then fall back to the loop. And trust me, it's not just beginners, but also intermediates that get stuck in that vicious cycle. They put so much effort, yet they get little to no result. It's a mental torture. It's literally hell. So is this dream of being a calisthenics athlete being sold to you a lie? And on the contrary, how do the 1% of athletes achieve an advanced level within the first 9 to 12 months as soon as they start? They can literally go from no experience to an advanced level within just few months. You might have seen these people online or in person, but you start wondering whether they have elite genetics. And trust me when I say it has nothing to do with genetics. It's all got to do with the training program. And so people who get these extraordinary results may seem to be following the perfect calisthenics program. So the question is there a perfect calisthenics program out there which you should start following? And if there is, what does it look like? What is the perfect calisthenics program? Look, I'm sorry to break it to you, but there is no perfect calisthenics program. There is no such program which you apply and magic happens. But before you get angry and think that I've used this as a clickbait to get you to watch my video, let me give you a reality check. Magic and secrets that get you results overnight do not exist in the fitness industry. And anyone or any influencer that tells you or tries to sell you secrets are simply trying to scam you or lie to you, because they simply do not exist. However, there are strategies which you can apply to your training in order to create the perfect workout for you. You can literally create a powerful workout program which will allow you to put 50% less effort into your training and get 3 times more results. Although it's not an overnight transformation, because again, this is not some magic pill which you take and things change. It is rather a framework or a formula which you apply to your training in order to get faster results while spending less time on your training sessions. And while others are banging their head against the wall, putting in countless of hours in the gym, training at the highest intensity, almost forcing themselves to show up on a regular basis. You, on the other hand, will barely be putting in any effort and making 10 times more progress than they are. Now, at this point, they might start thinking that you've got some magic pill which you take or a secret ritual. They might even start to envy you because no matter how hard they train, you always seem to be far ahead of them. But when in reality, all you have simply done is applied a powerful formula to your training, which of course I'll give it to you later in this video. It will allow you to add more reps and sets every single session, which in return will speed up the process of building muscles and increasing your strength. It will also help you unlock advanced calisthenics skills which can take years to achieve in just a couple weeks or months. This is actually how I went from doing 4 pull-ups to getting my first muscle up in just 4 weeks. I also went from struggling to do a handstand push-up to doing a handstand clap push-up in just 10 weeks. Crazy, right? That's literally the power of applying this formula to your training. I call that the 53 formula. You put 50% less effort and get 3 times more results. However, using this formula will not work unless we fix a huge problem which no one talks about. Now, I've been in the fitness industry for years, and to be honest, I haven't seen anyone talk about such a thing or even talk about things which people should avoid. I don't know if you noticed, but every time you watch these calisthenic tutorials or videos, they're always the same or repetitive. Follow this progression and follow that progression and do this many reps and sets, but no one talks to you about dangers which you should avoid or which can cause you to fall in a rabbit hole. So hopefully this is what I'll be doing today, and most importantly giving you the way to avoid this problem, beginner hell, which I spoke about, and finally I'll give you the formula so you can start adding reps and sets every workout session. Also, very soon you will be achieving the advanced level in calisthenics. My name is Gabe Nasser and I've been a professional athlete for years, and with calisthenics I've been doing this for the past 2 years almost. Not only did I get to an advanced level, but I also helped other people achieve these levels through making videos like these on my YouTube. So consider subscribing if you want to achieve these elite levels as well. Now, of course, I have coaching programs which can help you unlock elite levels of athleticism. I will leave the link below if you're interested, or you can simply visit g-nasser.com. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of the video. There is one thing I want to mention which is very important. This video is not made for a specific group of people. This video can be for beginners who are completely new and want to start calisthenics and they're trying to find the right program to follow, or it can be for people who have already been in the game for a long time and they're struggling to make progress. This is for anyone who wants to progress fast. So now here's what we'll do for the rest of the video. First, I'll go over the dangerous problem or beginner hell that can prevent you from your progress. Then I'll give you the solutions to avoid or combat this problem. And finally, I will reveal the 50/3 formula so you can apply it and start making 3 times the progress starting from your next session. And with that being said, take a seat because you're about to discover the power of programming. Calisthenics programming or training programming, whatever. Let's get right into it. The beginner hell can be one of the worst places to be in. The fire burns your skin, the heat fogs your mind, and slowly you turn to dust. You fade away to never become a relevant athlete in the world of fitness. Now, back when I was living in Europe, I was actually living in Budapest when I was going to college. Every morning, me and my friend would basically jog all the way to the center of the city where there's an island. It was called Margaret Island, and there was basically a calisthenics park. So we would jog there and we would train every morning. Now at that time it was September. We basically set the goal to learn the muscle up before New Year. I remember he was not able to do the muscle up, but I was. However, it was a pretty terrible form. I was able to do like a half muscle up. You know, that muscle up with extremely terrible form, flared elbows, and I was able to do one. And at that time I was also able to do the tuck planche. I learned it just recently and I was holding it for maybe 1 second. I would just hold it for like a second and drop. I couldn't really hold it. I was also able to do around 2 or 3 one-arm push-ups, which were pretty decent form. And the handstand, which was the first skill I learned, at that time I was still not very good at it. I would hold it for 5 seconds, but it would take me so many attempts to even get to a handstand. If it's not on a good day, I probably wouldn't be able to hold the handstand. So this was my level or record back in September. Even though we both had the goals to achieve the muscle up before New Year, for me, I had the goal to master all these 4 skills: the tuck planche, muscle up, handstand, and the one-arm push-ups. After 7 months of intense training almost every single day, like I was training literally 6 to 7 times a week, which is pretty insane. 7 months later, the results were pretty disappointing. And want to know the results? With the muscle ups, I basically went from 1 bad form muscle up to 3 bad or terrible form muscle ups. With the one-arm push-up, I remember I went up to 8 reps. That was my max. So yes, there was improvement, but just 8 reps. With the handstand, I was able to go from 5 seconds to 10 seconds hold, but again, I was struggling to kick up and hold it there. And with the tuck planche, I just gave up halfway because I wasn't even able to hold it anymore. I lost all my strength. The results were beyond disappointing. It was so painful to see these results after putting in everything I have. Like, I'm not exaggerating, but the pain was like, you know, when you wake up in the morning with a sore throat, that kind of pain. Yeah, it was worse. Or when you have a sore tooth and you go to the doctor and they start drilling through your tooth, like that pain, well, 10x that pain. That was the feeling, or the overwhelming burden of failure. It was terrible. You do your best, your 100%, your 150%, and you get little to no results. During that time, it was during March, and there was this one night where I was basically just contemplating my whole calisthenics journey. I remember that day because I was binge watching like all calisthenic videos and tutorials, but it seemed like no video understood my problem. And that night I went to bed at 3 a.m. and I was basically just laying down on the bed, you know, with one eye open and just scrolling through Reddit. I was basically on this Reddit forum, or I don't know what you call it, but it's like a section on Reddit where people are talking about their calisthenics and, you know, their progress in calisthenics. So after scrolling for about like an hour, I guess, all of a sudden I stopped scrolling and I just got off the bed and I was like, damn. There was this section filled with people who were also beginners, and they were complaining about getting little to no results in their calisthenics journey. You know, seeing other people also go through it, it was like a sign of relief. It's like, you know, that you're not alone and there are other people struggling. Unfortunately, on that section, there were other maybe coaches or something, you know, commenting and replying with advice and tips. It was pretty bad. They were all the same and repetitive. Sleep well, eat well, push yourself to training, which is exactly what we've been doing, all of us beginners. But with that, I still was happy, or I had some hope, because I knew that people were going through it. But now I had to fix the problem. The next day I came back from college, I was sitting right in front of the window. It was kind of dropping, or a little light rain, and I was sitting down with my white hoodie. I think I have a video, I'll actually put it up on the screen. And I was basically just contemplating everything. All I was thinking about is, why haven't I gotten anywhere? I'm still at the same place, same level. Why is that? All of a sudden, things started to click. I went back on the table, got the pen and paper, started noting things down, and this is when things changed. This is basically when I started solving the problem of beginner health. And it was the best thing I did, because I discovered the serious problems of beginner health. Let me explain exactly how beginner health happens so we can combat it later. I wrote it down, I'll be looking at the screen. At first, you might seem to be following a somewhat decent program, which probably got you started. And you make decent progress with that program until you eventually hit a plateau. And since you struggle to make any progress beyond that, at this point, you decide to make a change. You add new exercises, new routine, or just a workout plan. You want to even take it a step further with more hours in your sessions. You basically get motivated to make a change. But again, soon you start to realize that this program is losing its effectiveness. So what happens? You switch up the program again. The same process repeats itself. Next thing you know, you're jumping from one program to another. Weeks or even months pass by, and you have barely made any progress. You get caught up with the number of sets and reps, and even the number of exercises out there, because there's a lot of exercises in calisthenics. When you go on your phone and you start scrolling, you see thousands of exercises people are talking about, and you don't even know which one is the perfect fit for you, especially when you get caught up with the progressions and which one you should do and blah, blah, blah. You know the process. So you get overwhelmed with so many things, and basically you fall into that analysis paralysis. It's basically when you have so many options, you don't know which one to choose. You don't know which program to choose. You don't know which exercise to select and start doing, and which ones you should stick to, which program you should stick to. And this is why you get overwhelmed. And eventually you fall in that beginner hell. The cycle repeats itself. So how can we escape the beginner hell? How can we break the loop and finally fix that problem so we can at least just make decent progress and keep moving forward? Well, there are 3 things which I realized during my journey, and honestly, if you just apply these tips, you would instantly change your whole progress in calisthenics, or just fitness in general. Actually, it doesn't really just apply to calisthenics. Anyway, the first solution is to basically prioritize the basics. Remember how I said there are a lot of exercises or options for you to do, right? I was too focused on learning the one-arm push-up, the muscle-up, the handstand, so many skills, and I was barely training the pull-ups, just regular pull-ups. I was barely training the push-ups, which means I basically was losing strength rather than gaining it. You want to focus or prioritize the basics, whether that be push-ups for your pushing strength or pull-ups for your pulling strength. And you can pick one exercise for, let's say, core. That's more than enough. Now, don't worry about these. I will give you a guide in the end. For now, just understand or remember that prioritizing the basic is the most important. The second fix is to stop jumping from one program to another. Believe it or not, but one bad program will help you make more progress than jumping from 10 different programs which are excellent. Stick to one thing, because when you don't stick to a program, you basically stop yourself from getting a feedback on your performance. And this in return makes you blind to your progress. You don't even know where you're heading anymore. You can't track your reps and sets because you don't even know how well you're doing with the program. And speaking of sets and reps, this basically brings us to the third fix. People basically prioritize counting the reps and sets, but the truth is you have to focus more on the technique rather than the reps you do. If you do 10 bad reps with terrible form and bad technique, you're basically setting yourself up for failure. One, you're more likely to get injured because if the form is not right, you can put unnecessary pressure on the wrong places, mostly your joints and tendons. And 2, you're not even building up proper strength or proper form or technique with that exercise, which means overloading it or moving on to more advanced skills would probably become more difficult and challenging. And why? Well, because you're not building proper foundation. I spoke about this in so many of my videos about building a strong base and foundation with focusing on the basics and basically progressing these basics with proper form and technique. And then you can think of adding weight or increasing the reps and sets. Now that you have found the solution to escape beginner hell and put yourself on the right track, it would still take you years to achieve bodyweight mastery. However, there's a method to speed up your progress in order to get big results faster. And that is basically to just apply the 50-3 formula. The formula which helps you put 50% less effort and make 3 times more results. So there are 3 steps to apply the formula successfully. The first step is cutting out exercises with 0 ROI, which means they have 0 return on investment. Or in other words, they simply don't benefit you. And how do you determine that exactly? Well, it all has to do with your priorities and your goals. Now, if you're watching this video, then you're probably aiming to maximize your overall strength, whether that be mastering the basic exercises or adding weight to them and even learning advanced calisthenic skills. Now, of course, in addition to these, you probably want to add more muscle mass to your physique. In this case, we would use what I call the strength matrix. It is basically a template or a formula I created in order to make sure you target all your muscle groups, but more importantly, target all aspects of strength, which is basically the most powerful framework to ensure that you actually maximize your strength. This means maximizing your horizontal push, your vertical push, as well as your vertical pull and horizontal pull. And of course, it goes into details about the core exercises and your legs. Now, people who bought this program before have literally changed their calisthenics game. However, I'm not selling you this program. It's actually going to be for free just for a short period of time. The link is down below. Download the program and it will guide you from 0 to 100 on how you should structure your workout, structure and pick the exercises, as well as your training routine, the reps, the sets, and everything you need to basically start calisthenics or simply just change your program and make it more powerful and effective. Now the second step, which is basically after you have structured your new workout or style of training by using the strength matrix, which we already spoke about, it's time to start cutting out junk volume. Junk volume, in other words, means the volume or reps which do not benefit you. Now you're already going to be cutting out unnecessary exercises using the strength matrix. However, it's important to cut out the reps during the exercises which you're probably doing and are not bringing any benefit to you in your progress or training in general. Think about it this way. How many people do you probably know, or you might even be one of them, that basically claim that you can do push-ups for reps? I always hear the same thing. I can do 50 push-ups, or I can do 100 push-ups. And when they start doing the push-ups, their form is horrendous. In fact, 70 or 80% of the repetitions do not actually count. This is called junk volume. It's serving you no purpose in increasing your strength, increasing your muscle mass, and pushing your body or stimulating growth in general. So how exactly do you do this? What you want to do is cut all your reps, which you do for each exercise, in half. Let's say you can do 10 push-ups. I want you to cut half of it and basically do 5 push-ups. And now you're thinking, but it's going to be very easy and I won't experience any growth. Well, that's not true, because what I want you to do is you're going to slow it down, basically going 2 seconds on the eccentric and 1 second on the concentric. Think of it as 1, 2, and then you push up. But you do this with every exercise. Now, if it gets a little too easy, which I doubt it will, you can push more reps, or I would suggest even adding weight to the exercise. And from there, I promise you the progress will just shock you. Now, if you follow step 1 and step 2, things are just going to change. And of course, you'll be making far more progress than you are already doing so far. However, you might still hit a plateau. Even though we cut out volume and everything seems perfect now, the truth is it's not. So this is when we use our third step. For step number 3, what we're gonna do is we will push our training sessions for 4 weeks, or sometimes even 5 to 6. So we can think of it as 4 to 6 weeks training. On the 4th, 5th or 6th week, depending on how you're feeling, or when you start feeling that the numbers are not going up and you're struggling to add more reps to your next session, what we will do in this case is take a deload or rest week. It is literally a week where you don't train at all, or you train with very low volume. Now, if you ask me personally, I would say just take a rest. This is the best way to boost or reboot your central nervous system, which is responsible for all your movement, your muscle movement. It also determines whether you will put more muscles faster or increase your strength faster. So when you give it that 1 week recovery, you are basically boosting or rebooting it. Think of your PC when it's overheated. You turn it off, let it rest for a bit, and then you turn it on again. Same thing with your nervous system. Now, if you're watching this, you're probably a natural athlete. However, lifestyle will be a little bit more challenging because things don't come to you easily. This has nothing to do with my training or even my diet. It's other habits or protocols I've been following in order to maximize and optimize my anabolic hormones, growth hormones, and testosterone. This is actually going to be my next video on my channel. So I highly recommend you stay tuned, and so subscribe. And for now, leave a like if this video helped you. I'll see you next time. Peace.